YouTube part 4. You know what I'm saying? We got part 4, story 4. We did 1, 2, and 3. 3 disappointed me. It wasn't that scary. We're on to part 4. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe, like, comment all the videos I've been doing. And let's get to part 4. You know what I'm saying? Let's get to part 4. Let's try to get scared. I haven't been scared yet. I have not been scared yet.
So I work at a pizza place, usually inside the restaurant, as my insurance does not cover claims when driving for business.
These are true stories,
Occasionally,
though.
I will cover a delivery shift for one of the drivers because the money is good. Our delivery area includes a few new development, upper middle class cookie cutter neighborhoods, bad tips, an older 1940s era village, average tips, 2 apartment complexes, great tips, some trailer parks, great tips or no tips at all, and a bunch of rural areas, usually good tips. Not rural to the point of seeing hundreds of stars at night, but enough that you couldn't hear your neighbors yell. So about a week ago, I was covering a delivery shift. I came back to the shop feeling pretty good. I'm averaging $5 a delivery so far, and they have all been pretty close. And I checked to see if I have any more deliveries to do. And I do. I have one to an address I've never seen before. We mostly have regulars get deliveries,
That boy will get
so
kidnapped.
an address that doesn't seem the least bit familiar is odd.
Kidnapped.
It's out on one of the more rural roads. I asked the kid who took the order what was up because there were special instructions on the ticket. He says, they said go around back because the front door is not operational. I'm like, okay, well that's not that uncommon. People often want you to go around to the back. Either they painted the door recently, or the house shifted and it's a bitch to open, or they are just hanging out in the back. So as I'm driving out to the house, I get an odd feeling. I don't really like the idea of going to the back of some house out in the sticks. It would all be too easy for some thugs to order a pizza to an abandoned house. There are quite a few in the more rural areas. Then jump the delivery guy. I figure I'll scope the place out when I get there, and if it seems sketchy, just call them and make some bullshit up about how it's against company policy to go around the back of houses to prevent robberies. As I am driving to the house, I realize it's towards the end of this road that gets less populated the further down you go. Great. I'm pretty near the address and driving slow. I see this house that is abandoned looking and set back from the roads with no address and in a bunch of trees. I think, this house better not be it. So I drive past and check the next house's address, and lo and behold, that abandoned looking one was the right house. Shit.
Oh my god.
At this point, I am not super worried though, because out in the boonies, the standards of upkeep on your house are pretty low. So a house in disrepair isn't necessarily unusual. So I double back to this house and I pull into the driveway. At this point, I'm getting bad vibes. It just doesn't feel right. So I park my car at the very end of the driveway with the rear of the car on the shoulder so anyone passing by can clearly see it. At this point, I call back to the shop and tell them I'm at this sketchy house, and if I don't call back in 4 or 5 minutes to call me, and if I don't answer, call the cops. While I'm on the phone, I take a chance to take a good look at the house. It looks extremely abandoned and not just in disrepair. The driveway is crumbling, bits of gravel, and there are weeds growing out of it. There is no mailbox, no trash cans, no car, no lawnmowers, no landscaping, no kids' toys. Absolutely nothing in the yard. The yard hasn't been mowed in what looks like years. The house is total crap, and the roof is all but falling apart. The siding is falling apart, and even the back deck, which comes around the side, is falling apart. The only part of this house that looks even a little bit decent is the allegedly non-functioning front door. The windows are all shut. It's like 95 degrees and humid, and this place does not have an AC. They all have the blinds or curtains shut. The few that aren't are actually boarded up. I don't even see any wires running to this house. It's not dark yet, but it's dusk, and there isn't a sign of any lights on in the house. At this point, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. I'm a 5'10 male, 180 pounds, but not in any great shape. But I did take karate for 10 years, so I'm not completely helpless. But I do try to avoid any sort of confrontation I can, as I'm mostly a pacifist. I'm not too concerned about getting robbed. No skin off my teeth, it's not my money. I mean, I would rather not get robbed, but I'm mostly worried about getting jumped or killed. It's a fairly safe area, but recently there have been some rather unsavory people moving in from the city. A big spike in home invasions and robberies, but more worrying, a few stabbings and assaults. So it's either time to nut up or shut up. I'm not just going to go charging in there like a fool, so I get out my phone and call the number they gave when ordering. While I'm doing that, I'm also getting the pizza out and make sure to leave my door open. A running car half in the road at an abandoned house with the door open looks suspicious, right? I figure if shit goes down, it might look out of place enough to make someone stop. Not that there is really any traffic this far down the road. I'm starting to walk up to the house while the phone's ringing. It rings twice, and then an automated message comes on. It says something along the lines of this phone number is associated with an internet texting app. One of the ones that you download, and it lets you send free text from a different phone number over a data connection. I think it's called Haywire. We have had issues with people using numbers from those services for pranks in the past. This is a huge red flag. My heart is now pounding in my throat and my whole body is telling me to bail. I don't want to get a reputation for being a flaky bitch as a driver and lose any future delivery shifts, and that is why I have not bailed yet. So I'm just standing there holding the pizza, looking at this house, but not wanting to venture around to the back of it. I'm hoping that the resident will look out of the window and come out by the road to get their food. So I am looking at the front windows, checking for some sign of life. I could see a blind go up the one window next to the front door, and a really creepy looking guy with a hat pulled low and big sunglasses on is looking out.
What's in the back?
Remember, he is in a completely dark house surrounded by trees. At dusk, there is no reason for him to be wearing sunglasses.
Or a hat.
I also see what appears to be a big guy standing behind him in the room. This could have been anything, though. When he sees me looking at him, he mouths something and he darts away, presumably towards the allegedly broken front door. At this point, I noped the hell out of there. I had stayed pretty close to my car, so it was only a few steps away. I jumped into the driver's seat and threw the pizza into my passenger seat. Something I would never do, since I'm really anal about keeping my car clean. I slam it into reverse before I get the clutch all the way in, so
he's behind him.
My gears
it's over.
little.
He's behind him. It's over.
Something I never do. Without looking, I simultaneously slam and lock my door and floor it backwards onto the main road. I didn't even check for cross traffic. Really stupid on my part. I start to drive away and look back at the house. The screen door on the outside of the front door is now open, but the front door is still shut. The guy isn't out in the yard yelling, "Wait, come back," or anything. He's just gone. So I pull over a little ways up the road to call back to shop and tell them I'm all good and I'll elaborate when I get back. The people never called back to inquire about their food. People usually like to call if their pizza is 15 minutes late, and these people never got it, so it's pretty strange that they didn't call.
Very strange.
Pretty much confirms to me that they were up to no good. After telling my coworkers about it, we concluded it was definitely a robbery at the very least. So we put the address and phone number on our no deliveries list and ate their pizza. I doubt I would have actually gotten murdered or anything. Robbed with maybe a gun or a knife pulled on me. Or a little roughing up,
yes. You can have the pizza at that point. It was
still very unnerving that I easily could have gotten into some serious trouble by just doing my job. Especially if the idiots picked a slightly less abandoned house to set up at.
Again, these are true chilled horror stories, so I can't really be bad about it being scary or not. But this one is definitely in the top 3. The second one and this one is in the top 3. Because just imagine, like, yo, you're doing your job and, like, you get an address and you see a guy in the window, he just goes to the front door, like, I'm out of there. I'm eating the pizza right there and then. Like, bro, no way. That's it. Let me know what you think in the comment section. We'll be back with another one. This is part 4. We're going to do 5 and 6 and be out of here. Hopefully I want, like, some supernatural, super unnatural, natural, how you ever say it. Some stories like that. Some scary pop-ups and all that type of stories. We'll be back with another one. Peace.